Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
It's good to be here with you this morning in
Hey,
sweater
Sherry. Hey,
weather.
Gretchen.
I know that we gather. We wanted to talk about a new idea that's emerged regarding tending spaces. So I wanted to hear, Lil, can you tell us about the project and this new endeavor that's kind of taken shape?
Oh, I'm so excited to begin to talk about tending spaces. It came out as part of our vision of Retreat House. During this shift to online space, we have been learning so much about tending new spaces for community and for connection. Many of us were forced to learn this new space of technology. At one time, we wanted to reject it, right? Until we needed it. And perhaps this is also a great metaphor for the spiritual life, right? We get so busy with things we need to do that sometimes we just overlook, reject, or even ignore the holy until we need it. And oh, do we need space for the holy in our spiritual lives today? And so we have been searching at Retreat House for a common vision for year 4. And as we were gathering statistics and stories to apply for grants as we grow, this invitation from God spilled out. As a house of prayer and as a people of prayer, tending space for the holy, we are blessed to witness the bearing of spiritual fruit. For 2 years, this happened in the physical space at Retreat House. And for this past 9 months, it's happened online. Who knew? But it's such a gift to witness all of these stages of tending space: the preparation, the planting, the nurturing and pruning, the healing and harvesting, and the sharing. And so for our 4th year at Retreat House, we are collaborating with our partners and community to join us to create a book of prayer that emerges from our experiences with the holy. The running title, to be approved by the forming editorial committee, is Tending Spaces to Bear Spiritual Fruit: Seasons of Prayer at Retreat House. We need writers, participants in the editorial committee, administrators, organizers, bearers of fruit, as we gather these creative expressions of prayer and relationship with holy compassion. And we hope you will join us on this creative adventure. And I want to hear from some of our partners how Retreat House has touched you, holding space for the holy to emerge recently.
Thank you. So Sherry Ward is here with us. Sherry, I know that you've kind of had a front row seat to this tending spaces as we've shifted the rhythm of prayer, or not shifted the rhythm, but just shifted the space of daily prayer at Retreat House to the online, to our online community. So what have you seen kind of emerge during this time of different people have joined online and kind of share their personal offerings and their praises and petitions? Thank you so much for working with everyone and the scheduling and of everything. And I'm just curious to know how this kind of new role has blessed you and what you've seen from different members or different partners of the Retreat House community and how you're looking forward to this project.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate what Lil said about holding space, because that's one of the major things that happens in the prayer space for morning, noon, and afternoon prayer. And as we say, 9-ish, noonish, 3-ish, we're pretty close to that amount of time. But we had that experience in Retreat House. If you were house guide, you held those prayer times, and others joined you as they were able. And so doing it online is really the same process. We have an easy sign on for Zoom. And it's just been just incredibly important to continue to hold that space. Sometimes we have several people there. sometimes we don't. But the important thing is that we are holding a space and we are tending a space of prayer and intercessory prayer, a meditation, just a way for spirits to gather for a brief time to just to connect and also just that discipline of saying, I'm not too busy to stop for a few minutes of prayer. So I think that discipline has certainly been good for me and important. So it's just really blessed me in a way that I didn't always anticipate. Uh, but it's just an honor and a privilege to be able to hold that space with others and holding our whole community in prayer and meditation. So thank you for the opportunity.
Lovely. And Gretchen, you have tended space at Retreat House in the actual house from the very beginning. You've helped us tend the space of the House of series, those wonderful books. Can you speak to your sort of vision and looking forward to this project as far as the House of Prayer and what your hope is for the project?
Well, it was funny because I'd been talking to one of the other retreat house authors about exactly this notion of like, well, shouldn't we have some sort of a book of prayer and blessings and all these different transitions that we go through in life? So there are the joyful things about babies being born and new projects and marriages. And then, especially in this time of COVID, there's illness, there's death, but then all these smaller transitions of how do we move through life, and that prayer and blessing are a really big part of what keeps us going. And I lead meditations, and sometimes someone will say, well, it was just that one word that just jumped out at me. And so I think when I think about tending spaces, we have it's well, those of you who've been to Retreat House know that I sort of got this nickname of the Minister of Soup, because the person who always made the soup got pulled away. She got a different calling, and there was no one to make soup. And so I said, well, I love to cook, and my kids are grown, and I live alone. I'd love to make soup. And it became a really important expression of my own spirituality, of how I contribute to tending space at Retreat House. But it's almost like this book is like this one of these really rich stews or soups. And it's like we're gonna get some carrots and some peas and some beans and some potatoes and a little coconut milk. But like each person brings something different to the soup. And when I think about taking this away, and what I love about this is we have so many people in our community that are spiritual directors, that are chaplains, that are pastors. And we're all touching all these people in our lives. And what do you do when someone has gone through a loss? What do you do when someone is just in a challenging time? And we found this with House of Courage, that people were really giving our books away, and people would read and they'd find just the right thing. And I know I've done this with some of my own special books. And so I really see this as this potential for us to take what we do at the house, and then there's on Zoom, and then through our books, like we now have people that have purchased our books, and they're in the Caribbean and they're in London, and it's just the coolest thing. And moving forward, we're also finally gritting our teeth and moving into ebooks, which gives us such an amazing scope. And so I guess for me, that's what I see, not only for Retreat House, but for all of the authors, is this becomes a way to just touch so many lives, and you may never know. You just like having that faith that there are people who will read your words, because we hear this all the time from the House of Books. Oh, I read so and so's poem and it was just what I needed. And now we can just take this out in this much bigger way.
Beautiful.
I'm so glad you talked about soup, Gretchen, because now that the weather's gotten chilly, I've started making soup. And oh, I feel so connected to Retreat House, but I'm so missing sitting around the table having a bowl of soup with everyone and the ingredients as they come together to make that wonderful savory meal that we have.
Well, and I have to say the soup has, like, I've always been that caretaker person, but it's funny, I do these daily happiness messages, and one of them was like, times you just need to sit down and have a bowl of tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich. And I put a PS like, send me your email if you want my tomato soup recipes. Where all these people like, oh, please send me your soup recipe. So, this whole notion of tending spaces, I think, has also, deepened how I live my life outside of Retreat House, which has just been a huge gift.
Yeah.
I love that. Y'all are making me hungry. Lil, I like what you said about ingredients, and that kind of leads me to my last question for you. So we have all these different spaces where people have the invitation to express themselves through writing, a confession, a lament. If someone's leading prayer, they may write their own prayer. How do you see this House of Prayer book being a space to really mix all of these ingredients and writings together to kind of capture them, if you will, in one spot?
Sure. I know it's a community effort, and that was one of the clear visions of this invitation, is that it is a community-driven project and book. As you write your reflections after your prayer meditations, perhaps they're recipes or short stories of meditations. Um, it is a book that will have chapters topically. The editorial committee will come up with these, and we will send them out to the community. So you will have prompts for your writing. It will incorporate holy texts from our different faith traditions represented at Retreat House, and the diversity that that encompasses who we are. I don't think that there is they're not strong boundaries. We hope that the Holy will lead and guide this project for it to be something that we can use in our daily prayer offerings, but also that the audience is anyone who is wanting a prayer book to tend the daily rhythm of prayer in their life. And so our hope, it is definitely for our community, but beyond that, for anyone looking for a book of prayer.
Excellent. So before we sign off today, I know that there'll be more information coming to the community on this project, but what is the timeline as far as the invitation to write? What can people expect as far as when this will actually come out, when they can start submitting writings and prayers for the book?
Sure. We are going to, this week, send out to our community a call for people who would like to be on either the editorial committee, the administrative committee, or the marketing committee. And we can find a place for you in any of those spots, or create your own if you have a vision of a place that you feel you would like to participate in this project. We anticipate the editorial committee coming together December 1 to set the chapters, and knowing Retreat House, they will be fluid until it's printed, but we will have prompts each month. So in January will be the first writing prompt, and then February will be another. So we will form these chapters month by month to be done by September 1. And that will be the cutoff date for new writings for the editorial committee to finalize the chapters and the content of the chapters to go to the publisher. And so when we celebrate year 4 in October of 2021, we will have tending spaces to bear spiritual fruit as an offering to the community and to the world.